DPP would have qualified. So if it is that the sitting DPP had not yet received an extension, then that amendment would not offend the Constitution. I think that the fact that the DPP as sitting was sitting as an extended DPP. This is after consultation was given a certain amount of years. The
That's correct.
facts are that you asked for 5 years of extension and
That's
you only
correct.
received 3
Yeah.
from the consultation or whatever. So you were not actually the sitting DPP, you were the DPP acting on an extension.
That's correct.
And that's a technical point that I know that it would be interesting to see the Privy Council take
And
on, and it's a question I think that can be answered on paper.
that's correct.
So for those who practice for those who practice for
Are
the
you
lawyers who,
you don't
huh?
necessarily have to go to the Privy Council to argue it. You could
No,
just
no. I'm saying I have not seen the judgment, and the judgment is not published online. So there's a lot of the court. The Court of Appeal is a court of review. They're simply reviewing the arguments that put forth
That's
and how the judges come to their decision. So what all the court did was say, listen, the court says that the amendment
yes.
was constitutional,
Yes.
the first part of it.
Yes.
We agree. Here's where we depart. It follows that if the first part was constitutional, the argument that the reasoning of the judges below as to why the second part was not constitutional was not something that was palatable to the Court of Appeal. They didn't, as Mr. Wildman said, deal with the issues because the issues wasn't put before them
That's
squarely.
correct. That's correct.
But I will say this respectfully, that the court, all judges of the courts are the custos morum of the Constitution.
Yes. Yes.
The Constitution is a sacred document. I'm a little mature now, so I won't say what's in my head in terms of how it is treated by non-lawyers or lawyers who simply have little respect for the Constitution. So I hear Dora Explorer speaking on law, and she's not a lawyer. Quite nonsensical. But anyway, we have to treat the Constitution in a particular way, and when and the judges know it's almost as it's a internal locus of control as a judge, and I think the court below dealt with it that way, that something doesn't sit well, and this is where I depart from Mr. Wildman, when you rush the Constitution.
No, I just want to.
No,
I am not
I'm saying I don't see it as a side issue. I saw it very important that mature consideration has to be had when dealing with matters of the Constitution.
I agree with that, but what I'm saying to you,
Mhm.
why I made the point that it was a real sideshow, is that under our Constitution that once you abide by the manner and form set out in Section 49 of the Constitution, Parliament has the power to amend the Constitution. So the issue here is not whether they could have amended the Constitution. Yes, it was vulgar. We agree with that. What I'm saying,
it was vulgar by Delroy Chuck and his and the government.
There's no issue that it was vulgar. What we're saying here, focus on the critical issue here, which is whether that amendment could have the effect of that retroactive effect to have the DPP obtaining what you call periodic extension.
But the answer to that, respectfully, Mr. Wildman, is that it could have a retroactive effect.
No, because it could not, because in fact the legislation it said never sought to do that. And secondly, there's a rule in statutory interpretation, and the Constitution, the highest form of statute, is that you do not interpret a statute unless it is manifestly clear that you intend to have it retroactive. That is never allowed in statutory interpretation. So you don't give it that interpretation that it should have any retro. And in this one, it never sought to do that. So the issue is whether they could have interpreted the amendment to give the DPP that power to override the parliament, to override section 96, 1B.
Well,
1B is a touchstone. It is saying, look here, once you get one extension, you can't get another one.
No, but that's the point I'm making. That's
Yes.
the point I'm making, though.
Yes.
I think that what is where there is a disconnect with how this is resolved is that the court below is saying what ought to have said. I'm
Yes.
paraphrasing here, that a DPP who had not received an extension already, who is the sitting DPP, not sitting with an extension, where the Constitution says you're only allowed one extension and you cannot. Yeah, I'm just saying.
But it's exactly the point I'm making.
But we're making it about the learned DPP, and at all material times it was never about her.
So she happens to be the person in the office now. The point we're making is this: she's the beneficiary. Forget the name then.
So take out Paula Llewelyn and just say the DPP.
The person is the beneficiary of one extension, which is consistent with 96.1b. Okay? 96.1b says once you have attained the age of 60, you could only have gotten one extension if an agreement was reached before you reach 60 between the DPP and the Prime Minister that you can that you can get an extension. That extension can take you up to 65 or it can take you up to 63. Okay? She got it up to 63. Okay? Therefore, no parliament could pass a law to undo that. That can't
we agree with that, which is why I'm saying I do.
For the additional 2 years you're arguing then,
yes,
is where it becomes unconstitutional.
That is correct.
That is where I agree to Mr. Buchanan.
That is correct. That is where the issue is. The issue is, can you know after she reached 63, after she got to 63, can you pass a law?
Mr. Wildman, she has exhausted her extension.
That is correct. So can you pass a law to enlarge that extension? No. Because for the purpose of the Constitution, she's retired.
Oh.
And you cannot unretire her.
Yep.
If I may, there is a point in the ruling in the press statement that said she isn't to receive it retroactively, and the intention wasn't for her to benefit, hence the parliament took the action, which I found odd, because she is in the office and her new tenure would end September of 2025. So by that argument, she's automatically benefiting.
That is correct.
So I don't understand in relation to them saying that she isn't supposed to be a beneficiary. It is for future DPPs. Given that she is in the seat now. All right, fine. Somebody else is in the seat now, and that person would have exhausted the age of 63, which is the first one. So by association, she is now on her second extension.
No.
Put it this way. If it is that you're on a contract and your contract ends this December, and there is a clause in the contract that says you can work without a contract up to March.
No. The Constitution cannot be interpreted like that. In fact,
Yeah, that's I don't know.
you agree that she got an extension up to 63. That is agreed, okay? Then anything that occurs after that to extend her tenure would amount to a total breach of Section 96(1)(b).
And void to the extent of the inconsistency.
That is correct.
And that's why the judgment in the court below would have been sound. But
but we see, because the way the argument was fashioned,
yeah,
focus on the retroactivity, which is key here. Because once you focus on that it can't be retroactive, then anything come after 63 is pro tanto void.
Let's just add one particular thing about public policy though. In other jurisdictions, including the very UK, where this case is, if the PNP decides, will no doubt take it. They have had similar legislation which have caused judges who sit in the House of Lords and the Privy Council to return because the age was extended. I know that the only difference is that our Constitution is the supreme rule, but on a matter of public policy, is this actually much ado about nothing at this point?
No.
And no, I'm just putting that there because I'm now hearing, seeing tampering with the Constitution in the manner that it was done to be a victory, which it really isn't. And we ought to consider, the public interest in terms of the respect for the Constitution and holding it as sacred. So I just wonder. I'm just throwing that out as a devil's advocate for you to respond.
I'll make the point because you're dealing with the Constitution here, and you're dealing with a very important office. This requires the views, the opinion of the final court. It is a matter of grave public importance, and it should be settled by the Privy Council in terms of the.
My argument, she's going to spend she's 64 now, right? So she's going to spend probably another 9-10 months.
Yeah.
Should we really carry it to the Privy Council? Would we get even any time to carry it to the Privy Council in our time?
Well, it can be done. There are matters where the Privy Council would hear matters as a matter of urgency. It was done in for example, in St. Kitts during an election, where they were petitioned to hear it as a matter of urgency, and they heard it. That has been done across the common.
So you believe that the Privy Council could hear it within the next 90 days?
Yes.
Yeah, they heard the Palmer case,
Yes.
but on an expedited basis.
Yes. It can be done.
And I guarantee you, they are ready. If it were not for Christmas next week, they could hear it.
It can be done.
What you said? Wait.
Is it worth it though? Is it worth it? Is it worth it?
Of course. Hold on. Can I say something?
Your time. Talk for the common man in a
Hold on. Did you just ask the question if it's worth it? If we allow a matter of this magnitude to slide under the carpet because we're looking at time, all if 10 years pass, we want the Privy Council to hear this. Isaac said something just now where that is the perfect word. These people have tampered something that Paula Llewelyn and this government is very well known for. Tampering with
don't do that, sir. Let me tell you something.
All right, all right. Isaac, hold on, man. No, let me use my word.
I'm gonna shut you down. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna shut you down. This is for public because of public education.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It is important to know that we don't conflate issues.
Yes.
We're talking about the Constitution, and in the context, the word use of the word tampering is in the manner complained of in the case, that it was rushed, that it was treated with the respect.
Okay. Yes.
It was used as a thief in the night. Something that everybody has to understand is that the learned DPP took no part in the decisions as to how that's Parliament. Just like the Constitution doesn't have a written section about the doctrine of separations of power.
Yes.
Right.
She took no part into it, and when she was allowed to be a friend of the court and participate, is because she was the subject matter. She's the mere subject matter, and we ought not to conflate the issues. And I'm just gonna say this.
Fair enough.
I think this justice system work. The Prime Minister gets a piece of it. Him rely on the very Constitution that they want to tinker, tamper, play with. When convenient to do so. I'm happy that the learned DPP got justice because I'm a champion of the Constitution and believe every citizen must get their day in court and have the Constitution work for them.
Yes.
The Constitution has worked for the learned DPP, and if somebody is dissatisfied, it is for the opposition to take the matter all the way to the Privy Council.
Yeah,
because I've seen
average. You see, you talk as a lawyer now. Talk as an average Jamaican.
No, but we must no. You see, that is what happened. That is what has caused Jam to have to put out press release about clarity.
The money is at the 3 million is enough. Don't start me over here tonight, you know. Don't
you see,
over here tonight, you know. Mr. Buchanan.
This is what is affecting the country. This is what is really affecting the country. You have the common Jamaican citizens who the full force of the law is ditched to them. I heard Delroy Truck said something in the Parliament, I will never forget it, where he made a statement that up until today I can't believe that the Parliament was still allowed to go on, where he said that the Speaker of the House may be wrong, but the judgment is final. We should not forget that, you know. Delroy Chuck, who is the Justice Minister, got up and said, the Speaker of the House might be wrong, but the judgment is final.
Right, carrying back the argument there with what you say now. Make it make sense.
You know, some never carry it back.
Hurry up and carry
it. Paula Llewelyn, the so-called Constitution. I don't even like the Constitution of the country. It is what we were given, and it is no. Hold on. And I am being, because this Constitution only works for a particular set of people.
I don't agree with Martin, but go ahead. I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
It is fine. It is fine. There are many cases. There are many cases we could bring up of common citizens. Had it not been for the Isaac Buchanans who took up these matters and brought it to the Privy Council, we would have still had Anita.
Constitution.
Right.
Yes.
No,
but I am talking about the people.
Well, I know you can't say that because I decide to go use the same Constitution where the same people them use and a tamper with, right? But it's always a resource issue. If it is that they hold me now, say them are gonna lock me up and me spend 10 or 15 years in a jail, it's because me not have no money. And then you while man and I sort of go run come to my rescue because them know me not have no money. However, though, if it is that I had my money, me can do whatever me want. But that is not a constitutional issue.
Your producer dropping the ball tonight. What can go so?
Right. No, but it's very important, you know. it's very important that people understand that my thought process behind the reason why I asked if it makes sense we go there. No, because you have to be careful, you don't want it to seem as if, because remember, we live in a very politically charged society. No, in that realm, you run the risk of saying that we are personally attacking the office holder.
No, pause. I have to stop you there.
Thank you.
Stop you there. Let me make this point. That is totally wrong.
You're not attacking the holder of the office.
No. I believe
the perception.
No. I believe that the Constitution, being a sacred document that determines the metes and bounds of government, it warrants, where there's an issue like this, the pronouncement of the highest court of the land. If it is for future generation or future DPPs or whatever.
But it is a precedence you need.
Secondly, I remind you about this. When Hines and the Queen, that celebrated case, came about, remember, we call it gun code case. Remember that the lower courts got it wrong. The lower courts got it wrong. And when it reached the Privy Council, in the well-reasoned judge speech of Lord Diplock, that set it right, and is now the landmark case in the Commonwealth. So if you take your approach, it means that we stop it at this level, and we may be deprived of learning.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Which could become profound for future generations.
You're saying...
No, that's not what I'm saying at all, Sir Wildman. I'm saying...
The point I make is that this case cries out for the pronouncement of the highest court of the land. There's no question in my mind.
Yes.
So you
I agree with that, but something just throwing caution to the wind. Do you realize that when the government loses, they say we'll take it all the way to the Privy Council? No, listen, no, not only that. This year, I'm not finished. This year, the president, the chairman of the GLC, lost her matter at the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
And she says rubbish, and she takes it to the Privy Council.
I am
paraphrasing. A part of our judicial system is that the final court is the Privy Council.
That's correct.
And this is a very good example, especially going into an election year when people are saying we should leave the Privy Council or go to the CCJ and all of that. For the people to have an understanding that, listen, the system works, Just this year, I went to the Privy Council on a case that the court pronounced on, and they got it wrong. It's not just Hines. When it comes to constitutional issues.
I use Hines and the Queen as an important because that's the...
Stay tuned for more PDTV News Evening Highlights. Remember to show your support. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.